Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Wayne and this is my video diary of self-publishing. Now, would you like to win an award for your writing? I think that's one thing that we would all like. And how do you go about it? Well, I had the pleasure of interviewing Joel Saoberg, who was one of the winners for the Writers of the Future competition. What is the Writers of the Future, I hear you call? Well, it's an anthology story that goes out every so often throughout the year. They have, I think it's 3 competitions where you submit your story up to 15,000 words, and if you're lucky enough to be selected, then you're whisked away to Los Angeles for an award ceremony, and then your story is published in their anthology. And without any further ado, here is the interview with one of those winners. Enjoy. Ooh.
Hi Wayne.
Hi Joel, how are you?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. So yeah, well, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on. It's lovely to meet
It's
you.
more than well, it's a pleasure. You're more than welcome. So yeah, if you'd just like to introduce yourself, I've done a little bit of research on you. I'm just reading your blog, and it's interesting that you're a Swansea City fan, and Wycombe Wanderers played a part that evening for you.
Yeah. Is that
And
down your way?
yeah,
Are
Wycombe
they...
Wanderers is my team.
Oh no way. What
Yeah,
are the chances of that? Yeah.
yeah.
No,
So
it's a funny story. I'm Joel Saoberg. I'm a writer. I recently won the Writers of the Future, one of the winners of the Writers of the Future contest. So
yeah,
my story appears in volume 41 of Writers of the Future, which is out in the UK in June. Just got that there before I forget. So yeah, funny story about that. I submitted my story back in June 2024. It's called The Stench of Freedom, and it was half time. I think it was the Wicked game, and I had a voicemail, and it was a lady called Jolene Labaki. She's a contest director for Writers of the Future, so she's from Hollywood. I was trying to listen to it outside the stadium, and there's all fans around making noise, and it's Tuesday, and it was like 7:30, 8:30, something like that. It's getting on a bit. I was trying to listen to what is this, and then I nervously then I thought it must be that I'm a finalist in this Writers of the Future contest, which I'd been submitting to for about 2 years at that point.
Right.
And I go back in because I thought I can't call her because I'm not going to be able to hear her. The signal's patchy. So I sit for the second half, nervously watching and biting my nails to think, is this, is she telling me that, I'm a winner, I'm a finalist, and concentrate on the game. And it was, the game was a bit of a blur. I mean, it was, so it was, it's a funny thing. The following week then, it was about 2 weeks later was the second round of the cup final, and just before I was about to leave the house to go watch it, and I don't often go to watch the Swans, it's normally just midweek cup games. I had an email saying the results are in, and I'll give you a call sometime today. And I thought, there's absolutely no way I can try and sit through a game of well, how quality the football would be. Try and enjoy myself. I thought I cannot do it. So yeah, there's a funny connection.
That is. And how did you get involved with the competition and the book? Because it's, from what I've seen, it's a chronological book. There's loads of different authors that contribute to it. So
Yeah.
How did you get involved with the book?
Well, I used to have I had a subscription at the time to a magazine called Interzone, a UK sci-fi magazine, fantasy magazine. Because I was trying to rack my brain. Actually, a few people have asked me, including from Writers of the Future, how I got involved, how I became aware of it. Because its presence isn't as large in the UK as it is in the States.
Yeah.
It's an American contest. And it's based in Los Angeles. And I had a subscription to this magazine, and one of the writers, I believe it was a chap called Storm Humbert, who I've not met, but he was a winner a couple of years ago. I read a story about him, and in his sign-off, he said his stories appeared in Writers of the Future. I thought, oh, what's that? So I just Googled it, and I saw this contest, and I started reading about it. It was, some of the judges, some of the original judges included Frank Herbert, who wrote Dune. Some of the current judges like Brandon Sanderson, Hugh Howey, who did Silo, Larry Niven, Neri Okorafor, and all these huge names. And I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. You get this free trip out to Hollywood, a week-long writers course. But I thought there's absolutely no chance that I could win this. This is just crazy. But as part of the contest, there's a online writers workshop. And if you sign up to it, there's tutorials. There's Tim Powers and Kim J. Anderson. They provide, and also it's got a card. They give you online free lessons. So I watched through it, and then at the end you've got a free volume of Writers of the Future. So I just randomly clicked on one, opened it up, and the writer was from Cardiff, in Wales. And I thought, what, so I went from being a bit, I can never win this, to, well, is this fate trying to tell me something? This is such a coincidence. What are the absolute chances that I had a subscription to that magazine at one time? I opened that one volume that they happened to give me. There's 41 volumes now. And the story that I opened up would be from another writer from Wales. And I just thought, wow, okay. I thought, what? I'll start entering. Because it wasn't too long after my I became a dad at the time, a few months before, and it really ignited my writing habit. I think I'd always wanted to write, but I got a job, became a lawyer, long hours. I just thought it wasn't something possible, and I thought, do you know what? I can't tell my kids to follow their dreams if I never did it myself. So there's all these things all fell into place, and I just started writing short stories, and it all just fell into place. It was my 12th submission, I think, to the contest. So I've been doing it a couple of years, because it's every quarter, so you get 4 chances a year to enter. And in a very, very long-winded, rambling path, that's how I got involved in the contest. So it's all just lots of coincidences and
Yeah.
Things opening, looking at stuff at the right time, and all these sorts of what they call it, sliding doors kind of moment that it just fell into place. So
Right.
it was wonderful. Yeah.
I mean, I think when you look back, sometimes you can see how everything kind of falls into place. At the time, you can't see it, can you? In like going forward, you can't see the future, but you can look back and think, oh yeah, I did that, and those little things that weave into your past put you where you are now. So how does the book work? Because you've submitted your story. Is it only the winners that get put into the final book?
Yeah. So there's first, second, third in each quarter. So you get 12 winners. I came third in one quarter. And the very British part of me finds it hard to say, I'm a winner. Oh, I'm the winner. So I say, because there's a grand prize winner. There's 4 first place winners. They go in and compete. There's a parallel illustrators contest.
Right.
And any of those illustrators can win. So the winner of
Yeah.
an illustrator, they get paired up with your story. So you get a nice illustration. My one's here, so we've got a nice signed copy from a very talented illustrator from Minneapolis called John Barlow. That's not going to stand up now, that's going to fall over, I bet.
Is that the award next to it?
It is. This is my, look what I made earlier, shelf. So you get 3 winners in each contest, first, second, third, and then those 12 are put into this anthology. You also have a story from L. Ron Hubbard, who founded the contest. He wrote Battlefield Earth, so his estate funds the contest. And you also have one of the judges, or in this case, 2 of the judges, wrote stories. There's Tim Powers and contributed a story, and so did Sean Williams, who's a former winner of Rise of the Future contest. He's a big name in sci-fi. He's from Australia. So these are the stories. So you have 15 stories, and there's writing advice articles. There's one by Robert J. Sawyer in here, and advice for illustrators as well. I think Tom Wood provided an article. So there's quite jam-packed, and you get all the illustrations as well. So the illustrators who win, they have to submit that like portfolio of 3 illustrations, and then they have, I think it was something like 30 days. It wasn't very long to prepare an illustration for the story that they've been paired with. So I didn't know I knew who'd been paired with my story, but I didn't actually get to see the illustration until we were out in Hollywood, and it was like a reveal event, and it was it was really quite amazing.
That's an interesting twist then. So you submit the story, they pair your story with an artist, and then it's just they select the best art. So is the award for the best combination? So they've chosen your book with your story for the prize, and then does the author automatically get drawn alongside you, or could you have won the story side and yet another artist would win the artist side?
It's not linked in that way. Any of the illustrators of the 12 illustrators could win the grand prize their side. So this year, the grand prize went to a story by a chap called Randon Bartholomew, who wrote, I always pronounce it on ASCII. It's a story that takes place, I think it's like 1.6 seconds. It's about an AI taxi and how it's really good. He won. The winning illustrator was from, her name was Jordan. I always struggle with the surname. She illustrated a story called Kill Switch, which is the difference. The Kill Switch one was a 3rd place by a chap called Fred Lowell, or Robert Lowell, sorry, I know it's Fred. And so they don't necessarily linked. So the different winners, but I did ask quite a bit, how do they actually pair them up? Because the illustration for my story it just felt like the atmosphere, and I looked at my wife and I separately watched like an introduction to the illustrators. They did a meet and greet kind of event online before, and I had known who was the illustrator for mine, because I'd seen a sort of press release and they'd said, my wife didn't, I didn't tell her, so I thought, I can have a look. And she looked through all these portfolios and she's like, oh, this guy, I think he would really suit your story. And that's the one they chose. And speaking to John, he he had an interest in this area, the sort of, and you said the process of coming up with the story, the rep and shots, and he was even going into Victorian. He showed me this picture of Victorian illustration that warned about the dangers of electricity, and he went to all this research to try and prepare it, because my story is based in a industrial revolution type setting, sort of London-esque, but a world where the industrial revolution was powered by magic rather than steam
machines.
force. So yeah. So
yeah, I was going to ask, what is your story about? So could you go into a little bit more detail for that one?
Yes, of course.
Is this the start of you? So you've got it published in the anthology. You're now going to do your own series and carry on the story, or is this a one and done and you're going to do something different?
Well, a few people have said to me, oh, they'd like to see it expanded or part of the universe. It was by quite some way the longest story in the contest, because the contest is open to stories up to 17,000 words. Right. So, one winner was about 1,500 words. And mine was about 15,000. So it was chunky. I think that's novella, or perhaps just into novelette. So my story is called The Stench of Freedom. It's about, it's a world, it's a London-esque city, Victorian London, powered by magic, the Industrial Revolution powered by magic. I'm from Wales. The Industrial Revolution was very influential in our recent history, for good and bad. And there's a lot of technological progress, but also exploitation at the time. There's always a lot of potential for stories. So in this world, there are these characters who can summon electricity, can summon lightning, and that's harnessed to provide electricity for the city. Yeah. So the main character is a chap whose job is to basically capture and help exploit these lightning elementals. Right. She starts off as quite an unpleasant character, and what I wanted to have a story look at was essentially a character growth story. Someone who starts off as a bad or grey character, or frankly not even a grey character, is quite not a nice person, and to see how they can be transformed by an event, and to try and realize that they're not a nice person, and to try and be better. So he recently becomes a dad, or in this story becomes a dad. Yeah. That triggers the event for him having a look at his life and thinking, am I going to turn on the system that I have upheld and fought for and got him into a position of privilege and influence in the city, or is he going to protect his family and make a break for it, kind of thing? So it's that. So did you take inspiration from becoming a dad yourself? Because I understand that was the catalyst for you. As you said, you can't look your children in the eyes and say, follow your dreams, if you're not doing that yourself, which is something that I can relate to with my own stories. So that gave you the inspiration for that character then? Most definitely, yeah. I started writing, as briefly mentioned, after my daughter was born, and I found a lot of the stories I started writing had an influence, were heavily influenced by the sort of sense that came over me. I held him in my arms, and you just think your priorities change. It's probably the first time in life that you always think, actually, I'd be okay to sort of die, because I wouldn't want to be in a world without her in it. And everything's different. And the great thing about speculative fiction is you can just take something like that and just run with it and just take it to the extreme. So it's certainly not autobiographical. But it's like it's exploring that transformation, that you become a parent, and then all of a sudden you're not the most important thing. your career objectives aren't necessarily the most important thing. Your ambitions in life change.
They do, definitely.
Yeah, and as you said yourself, you know that, and it's something I thought would relate, and I thought would give a bit of sort of inject some heart into the story.
Yeah.
Sort of, and make him somewhat relatable, because otherwise he's not very nice.
What other things influence you? And again, I do a little bit of research, so I understand you used to watch the Star Wars trilogy at Christmas time. I mean, it's not a Christmas movie, but it is a Christmas movie if you're a certain age.
Yes, yeah.
And what other things influence?
Well, I grew up, as it's love Star Wars, never ending story. As I was a toddler, I watched it so many times. The video broke, and I get a new one. So I always had this. I always think I'm joking with my wife. 80s fantasy movies. The Labyrinth. Legend. These sorts of movies. And then when I discovered The Hobbit, as I've always read, always a huge reader, and I read The Hobbit as a I can't remember, I was about 13, I think. I was on holiday, a caravan holiday, and my friends who we were with had a sort of an old battered copy that I was using to prop open for fly screen. I'd read all the books long before the time of Kindles and the like. You had to physically carry all the books with you, and I opened it and I was just mesmerized from the first page. And I read it in one go all that afternoon, and I was just like, this is amazing. And I would just love to be able to write something one day that someone has that kind of reaction to, that it just really connects with. And I'm always having daydreams and images in my head. I think, oh, that'd be a cool story. My wife sometimes gets a bit annoyed because I sort of zone up a bit. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking of something. So it's just all I've known. Reading and writing and making up stories, all I've ever wanted to do. And I just feel really drawn to speculative fiction, sci-fi, and fantasy. It's just, there's something about it. The escapism, the magic of it all. It's fun. I love it.
I think for me, it's limitless in the realms of possibility. If you want to do something historical, you're restricted because it's factual things. You can't have lasers in the Civil War in the 1800s, 1700s. See, I'm probably get comments. You've got that date wrong. The Civil War was in the 60s.
That's the issue with it.
Difficulty, isn't it? You really have to know your stuff. Whereas with fantasy and sci-fi, there are some rules, but they're very flexible, aren't they?
Yeah, you can always. I was reading an article, I think in Reactor magazine, I think recently, about stories that took apart the limit of faster than light space flight. There's ways you can get around it. That's a limiter that we know, but why not in the future they say this drive does this, and then all of a sudden you're outside it. It's much more freedom to do that.
Question slightly off topic, but it's one that's asked a lot. Star Wars, science fiction or fantasy?
This is what I'd say: space opera, space fantasy. Yeah, fantasy in space. I still say it's sci-fi. Well, I don't know actually. What I call sci-fi? No, space opera, space fantasy.
Space opera. See, my answer, and I've asked this a question, but no one. They've diverted. They've given me a totally off-track record. I'm a big Warhammer 40,000 fan.
Yeah.
When you compare, now for me, that is science fiction. But when you compare the elements of 40k with Star Wars, they're the same. You've got the mages, you've got different abilities, weapons.
It's like
So for me, Star Wars is sci-fi.
Yeah. I think
it's an element, but it's sci-fi.
Yeah. It's a speculative umbrella. It's that, isn't it? It's because it's almost fantasy is you must have a sword, or it be somewhat behind one day. I know Star Wars said a long time ago, far away, but it should be well, you can't see a long time in the future in a galaxy far, far away. They could have done it, yes, but it doesn't sound as good. Yeah, I'd say, I considered it sci-fi, and then I heard the term space opera and then space fantasy.
Yeah.
But to my mind, it started off sci-fi. Because I would say Star Wars sci-fi, and then you got Lord of the Rings, clearly fantasy.
Yeah.
There's a magical element, but there's spaceships and lasers, so it's non-science fiction.
And depending with what episode you're watching, I mean, Star Trek has a little bit of fantasy in it as well. But
yes.
no one says that about it, do they? So, oh no, that's hard sci-fi.
Yeah. Yes. I guess as well, Star Wars, if you look at one like Rogue One, or wow, he's a Darth Vader, but or some of these spin-offs which doesn't feature Jedis, then that is unquestionably, I would say, sci-fi. It's just when you get into the Jedi and the mind trick and and all that cool stuff, that's perhaps when people say, space magic. But they explained it with science, midichlorian count.
Yeah, there you go. What more do people want?
It's the force, isn't it? It's what? It's some force of gravity that we haven't discovered yet. Dark matter, maybe.
It could be. Who knows? Perhaps you could write a story about dark matter, but elements of the force. So what's next for you then, Joel? You've got a novella published. I mean, 15,000 words. That's not a short story. That's a novella.
Do you know? One of the things I really like writing short stories because it's really helped me improve. The amount of, before my daughter's born particularly, I used to write on. My wife bought me a laptop to take in the train, so I used to commute Swansea to Cardiff. I spent a lot of time traveling and trying to write, and the amount of chapter ones on my computer that never went anywhere. It was getting, quite frankly, embarrassing. So I started writing short stories, and it really taught me how to tell a story from start to finish and improve my writing. So whilst I think I'll always write short stories, I struggle to keep them short. I went immediately into novella territory. So I always feel as though my dream would be to write novels, and to walk to my local library with my kids or a bookstore in Swansea and find my book on the shelves. That would be a dream. So what I've started writing a novel. It took me a while to settle on an idea because I had a few different ideas, and so work full time. This is a struggle for every writer, I think, who isn't super famous and wealthy. Is balancing life and writing. So what I didn't want to do was write something, take me 3, 4, 5 years and not go anywhere, because it really knocked my confidence, and I don't think I'd have picked it up again until I retired. So short stories, I find a way of keeping, building that confidence, building the thick skin of rejection, which is, and perseverance, which is skill. I've finally settled on an idea, and I started writing a novel. So I'm going to try and write fewer short stories alongside the novel, just to sort of break it up a bit, and hopefully have that ready in next year sometime, or at least the first draft be finished. Next year.
The draft, edit.
Yeah. First draft is just probably one small step on the total marathon of getting something published, traditionally or self-published. Oh, well, yourself from the self-published route.
I mean, I'm the same. I self-published my first book in 2000, expecting great things to happen, and then the world just shut down. That's just my luck, So, and then I had to change jobs, and I know exactly what you mean about the balance, because my job kind of took over my life, because you want to make a good impression as a new employee, and it was a higher level as well. So it took me 5 years to do the sequel. So how do you write? I mean, I'm a pantser. I sit there and say, right, I've got this idea, got the situation. These are the characters going to be doing this. Do you do that, or do you plan meticulously the chapters, and what's your writing process?
I think I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I think, without wanting to sit in the fence, it might be a lawyer's answer. Show me a fence and I'll sit in it. But I like to know where it's going. So I
Yeah,
tend to I tend to get ideas. Sometimes it's the setting. The setting always comes to me first.
right.
And then I think, well, who would be in that environment? And then what sort of issues would they face?
Yeah,
But I kind of like to know the conclusion. So
yeah,
then, and the middle bit is a bit more in flux, but without the end point, I lose track of it, and I struggle to know where it's going. So I sort of need something to get me excited about the beginning and a trigger incident, and then how it's going to end. Not necessarily the end, but with my story, I had two images in my head quite clearly: the opening scene and or a couple of pages after the opening scene as it happened, and the ending. So I kind of knew stuff was going to need to happen there, and that's the bit I need to figure out. And some of that is, as you know, you start writing and you think, oh, I actually quite like this person. This the dialogue flows quite naturally when I write from this person, so they take a bigger role. Or sometimes this I don't think this person is going to carry a story, so I need to introduce someone else, or so forth.
right.
So it did grow, but
Yeah,
I kind of need to know the end and probably some highlights in between, sort of marker points.
right.
Yeah, that I'd say. So somewhere in the middle, not quite a
And,
pantser.
and do you have beta readers and a team behind you, or is it
Um,
just Joel and a keyboard?
well, one of the things that I found really beneficial when I started submitting to Writers of the Future contest is there's this online forum,
Yeah,
and you swap stories with other writers who are trying to win the contest, and who have won it before as well.
yeah,
And that really helped. I also joined the British Science Fiction Association, so I've
right.
over the years contributed. I've been in writing groups there.
Yeah,
Um, they have a novel writers group and a short story. So I'm in the short story one. So I've done that way. So it's been kind of ad hoc.
yeah,
Those are the ones I've been a bit more semi-consistent. But I got recently more back into the BSFA one.
right.
I don't have a sort of necessary. Well, since Rise of the Future, I've met the other winners there. We've been swapping stories in the summer.
Yeah,
But before that, it's kind of mostly me. And you don't know your own blind spots, is what I'd probably say.
yeah,
So I think beta readers, they really help to um, say this makes no sense, or
yeah,
what you're talking about here, or you have not given enough. Because you have a story in your head, you try and get on the page, and someone might say, "Wait, what? What?
yeah.
what? I don't get it," or "There's too much information," and. So it's good to have that sort of feedback, but
Because
it's
we,
not.
as the author, we know what it is, don't we? We could look at the room and think, oh right, yeah, I've got a table there, window over there, person sat there, they're sat there because they're having lunch, and you've got to try and put all of that down onto a page that the reader will look at it and have that same image.
Yes, exactly. And also the balance with not overloading it as well.
Yeah,
So it's,
yeah,
and sometimes you go, oh, it's a bit too much description. Okay, strip that back, let them imagine it. But it's that balance, and I think that's what writing short stories has really helped me, is try and, I'm by no means established or successful or whatever. I'm still very much at the beginning of my writer's journey. But I can see my writing has improved a lot, and I think writing short stories has really helped that. And because you can give it to someone more with less guilt, at saying,
yeah.
"Can you read this 5,000 word story?" rather than, "Can you give feedback on this 125,000 word manuscript?" So yeah, but
So
yeah,
you're currently working on what would effectively be then your first novel,
that's right.
yeah, and you hope to have that out next year.
I'd like to. Well, my wife said something, and I keep highlighting this. If I say it enough times, it'll happen. There's a huge convention in America called Dragon Con, and it's fantasy and sci-fi, and there's got a bit of connection to Rise of the Future. A lot of the judges go, a lot of past winners go, and lots of editors and agents go. And the judges said, if you're there and you've got something to pitch, they will take you to an editor and say, you need to read this guy's book. So I'm like, I need to get a book so I can go to Dragon Con. And my wife said, you get a book ready for pitching. We'll go out one summer to Dragon Con. So we're actually expecting a baby in December. So I don't know, 2026. It might be 2027. But that would be the plan, is to get at least a first draft next year. Hopefully this time next year, and then start with the editing and have it sharp and how I want to pitch it late 2026, 2027. See how I go. Some days I sit down and I write 2,000 words. Other days 250 words. And I'm like, you know what it's like. You have feast and famine sometimes with word count.
Just look at a blank page thinking I need to write something, and half the day is gone. But I've written the
yeah. Deleted. Should it be then? No, yeah. Yeah, for sure. So it's a long process.
Yeah, it is.
But I think I tried to set myself to a bit more realistic. So I think I was trying to say, I would like this number of short stories written and published this year. I would like to write a novel, and young kids, full-time job, a wife I very much wish to keep. Stay married to, that you can't say, I'm just going to spend 3 days. I'm not in a position to say I'm going to spend the next 3-4 days writing and I'm just going to smash this out of the park. My kids aren't at the point, they're 5 and 4. So, at the moment, they still want to spend time with me. So I want to make the most of that.
It's an important time in their life as well.
Yeah.
Time to get a good bond. Something that I do, because I'm dyslexic, so I find that I take information in bite-sized pieces.
Okay.
So I've noticed that that's kind of seeping into my writing. The stories, the chapters might only be 1,000 words, but there's lots of them, because but listening to you, have you considered doing a trilogy of short stories that all link into one another? So by the end of it, you've then got your 50,000 manuscript. Because that is as you go along.
That is a good idea, and it's a bit like Hyperion. I don't know if you read that, Dan Simmons. I think there's a book. It's a bit. I think if I recall right, it's based on or inspired by Canterbury Tale. We have 12 different. There's about 6 or 7 different characters, and they all tell a story of how they end up on this planet. So it's that sort of connected short story. So no, I hadn't until you said that. No, that's a good idea. And I think someone has said to me, I was on the writing community chat show a couple of weeks back, and they said, well, one way of looking at it to help, because I had said staring down 100,000 words or 75,000 words is quite overwhelming. It's quite daunting. And it's, well, short stories, picture them as each chapter or each part as a short story. So having it in that approach, it's, not eating the elephant in one go, or whatever the saying is. It's just trying to, is it 1,000 pages eventually, 1,000 word chapters, 1,000 chapters would be a lot. You get there, and it's trying to structure it. So I think that could definitely be, a good approach. And the story I've got here, people said, oh, they have to expand it, and I kind of think of it as almost like a part 1. It would need to be beefed out and tweaked, but almost a part 1 of a story or a novel. So thinking of the part 2 and the part 3 to bring it together. I think that could work. Thank you. That's a good suggestion. Thank you.
That's fine. This is kind of why I do the podcast and the YouTube channel. I think some people can look at it as, I could look at it as competition. Oh,
Mm.
can't help Joel, he's going to steal my readers, you know. And some people do have that view, but because of being in the self-publishing community, we're a community, and we don't look at each other as competition. So we try and help each other out in any way that we can, because at the end of the day, if I sign up to your newsletter and we do a newsletter swap, I mean, that's something that I haven't done. It's a newsletter. But because your readers might like my book, my readers might like your book, and we can just build a community. And that's what I like about the self-publishing community. Is that, would you consider going down self-publishing route, or?
Yeah, I would. I would. And we had a really interesting talk actually. When we were out in Hollywood, we get this week-long workshop. So different judges from the various points in their career come in and talk to us. A lot of them are very established, very successful. And we had a chap come in who predominantly writes horror, a Canadian writer, really nice chap, really good speaker, called Mark Leslie Lefebvre. And he does a lot of, he calls us like a hybrid publisher, or hybrid author, like you call himself, because he has some traditionally published, some self-published. And he was saying, about your IP, you've got to be savvy with it, treat it like business in a sense, where you can go, you have published 15 short stories, for argument's sake, there's 60,000 words, all the rights are reverted to you, so they're just sat there. So why not bundle them up and put them as a book, as a Kindle? Some books might not work traditionally published. It might not be an appetite for it. You might really like it. It might be that they've had similar books, or it's just not a fit or whatever, traditionally published, super competitive, but it's something you're really proud of and you want to get out in the world. So it's definitely something I'd consider for sure.
With your story that you submitted, do you still own all of the rights to that? So you could publish it yourself with the rest of the books without an issue?
So how often with short stories, how it works is the rights might not be the same, depends on the contract, but typically if it's in a print magazine, you might sell, it's basically just like licensing the story to someone. So you'd be giving them an exclusive license to have in print your story for 12 months. After that, they revert back to you, and then you can submit them to be reprinted somewhere. So you get a potentially lesser royalties or payment for a reprint than original, but the rights then revert to you. And sometimes it might just be, typically now it'll be electronic rights as well, electronic publication rights, but even those might revert back to you in 6 months or 12 months. So, especially with short stories, I think it's potentially different with novels. Well, it often is different with novels, but with that story, in the contract they say first day on publication, the rights go back to you, so you can have it reprinted somewhere else. If you were, they really is just a platform to try and lift other emerging writers and get them a step up in the industry. So I haven't looked, but in theory I could do and have that. I need to be organised.
Organisation's the key, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Keep your head above water.
Okay, Joel, where can people find you? What are your socials?
I have a website, joelsaoberg.com. There's a newsletter you can subscribe to on that page. It's just a monthly update on what I've been up to, writing wise, some book recommendations, what books I really enjoy. I keep a running track this year, at least anyway, of my stories submitted, rejections. I'm on Blue Sky as well, on Joel C. Saoberg. They have a really long beast and Instagram and Facebook.
What's Blue Sky, Joel?
I think it's a Twitter-like platform.
Right.
That's become more popular. There's quite a lot of writers on there who have migrated from Twitter to Blue Sky. It was just to try and help raise a sort of profile or have a presence. You're trying to get in to the industry, and it's just nice if people can find you and learn a bit more about you.
Definitely.
So Instagram, although I don't really post, it ends up just being me and wife sending each other parenting reel videos. So I don't really use that so often. Facebook, I think I'm on as well.
Yeah.
Joel Saoberg for Instagram and Facebook as well.
Okay. Well, I'll link your website in the comments thing.
Oh, thank you very much.
And stuff, so people can find you directly. Just really a couple of questions, unless you're in a hurry to go.
No.
I mean, obviously, so when did you have the idea of the story? Is it something you've had since teenage years, and then eventually got it published?
It's one I had it about a year, maybe a year and a half before I actually wrote the story. I had in my head, I had this image in his head of this person getting electrocuted, lightning coming down, striking him, not electric chair. And I was like, who is that person? Why are they being electrocuted? What's it for? Is someone doing it to them? And all these questions, and it led to me developing this idea for a story. At the time, I had in my head that I should keep the story below 7,000 words, because that's typically more marketable length, upwards towards a marketable length, and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't keep it that length, so I just put it to one side. And I was chatting to someone that writes the feature forum, and they sent me this link, and it was an analysis of recent winners and the story lengths. I noticed it's quite a few, quite long. And I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to write this story. I'm going to write it under 17,000 words. Not expecting to come in at 15. That's maybe a bit less. So I had it. It took me about 2 years from story idea, shelving it, and then picking it back up and writing. So it was probably about 2022 sometime, and then finished it in May, June 2024, sort of finally. Yes, some, again, idea, and I write it down. Flash fiction particularly just sort of comes and goes. But that one simmered for a little bit as I was trying to figure out what to do with it, I think. But a few novel ideas have been in my head for a number of years. It's just get the confidence to just write it, I think. So I was quite excited about this novel because I've been thinking about it for quite a while. It's just I've been procrastinating for even longer.
That's what writers do, though, isn't it? It's procrastinate. And just ask George R.R. Martin, and will we ever get that book?
yeah, quite.
So obviously technology's advanced, and we now have AI. Do you see AI as friend or foe?
I'd say I'm pretty up against. I'd say foe. I think in the creative industries, I think there's a lot of unknowns. At the moment, was a large language model, so it's kind of predictive text. So at the moment, it's quite poor, I would say. I mean, there's people who might use it for research, and I think in different areas where it can, synthesize or whatever, lots of information, it could be useful. I think in the creative endeavor, it's quite a sad thought to think someone might say, I want a story about 100,000 words, a story about this, and it just generates it, and then a machine has done it that doesn't really have that human spark, that human, there's something I think about the creative process that's so innately human that that's my only, I guess, the silver lining in all this is I just don't think, subject to future developments, it's a machine can capture what's essentially human in that creative output. So in a writing and illustrative sense, I'm against as it's for.
Yeah, I mean, if someone said to me this book is AI generated and 100% AI generated, then I'm against that.
Yeah.
But I do use AI for research and I do think it has a purpose. But I'm with you on the actual creativity side of it.
Yeah.
No. And I was talking to somebody yesterday who's a voice artist.
Okay.
Because he's published a book as well.
Oh, okay.
I've had this.
Cool. Yeah.
And I explained to him that I have used AI voiceovers for some of my YouTube videos because of cost.
Mm.
Being a one-man band,
Yeah.
but on reflection, I'm now withdrawing from that to do the narration myself.
Yeah.
So they just sound terrible.
Well, it's practice, isn't it? You know, it's. I hate
but
reading my own stories out loud, so you know, it's.
but it's that human connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why I've started to do it myself, because I feel it's authenticity, and that's what we need to keep. The machines are great, but we've already lost the authenticity with social media and relationships. You know, I mean, like you, I've got a very lovely wife, and if she said to me, "That's it, Wayne, I've had enough, I'm walking out," I know I'm going to spend the rest of my life on my own. I don't fit into this modern world of social media and dating.
No, I feel like a Luddite being dragged, kicking and screaming into the bin.
All right, that's yeah. I mean, I'm quite. If you want to, I'm quite happy to wrap things up, unless you've got anything else.
No, I mean, it's been
So
great fun. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
That's fine. Sorry, I'll let you speak.
No, I was just saying thank you very much for asking me to come on. It's been great fun, and it's lovely to meet you and have a chat. So it's you know, writing is quite lonely, I think, a lot of the time. So it's nice to have, you know, moments where you can speak to someone who gets it. Not sort of like, why are you doing that? Why are you spending hours writing that no one's going to read it? I just have to do it. So it's nice to meet people and speak to other writers and you know, get all geeky about sci-fi when I have the chance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Would you come back for another interview?
I would, definitely, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, have you got my email address?
I think I do now. Yeah, I think I do now. Carmen got us connected first of all, I believe, and so it should be on there. I think so. If not, I can. I'll have a look. I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got your website, so I'll sign up to your newsletter, and we can keep in touch. And you can just give us a shout next time you want to do a little bit more of a promotion. Tell us a bit, or give us a progress. Give us some updates. It sounds like you've got a reasonable plan going into next year. So maybe after Christmas we could chat again. We can find out where you're at.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we can do that. As I say, it's about building community.
Yeah,
that's what I like about self-publishing, and is the community. So.
Oh, great! Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Well, that's fine. I've appreciated talking to you, and it's great knowing that there was that link beforehand with Wycombe Wanderers, and
there's a small world. Goodness me.
I would say maybe we'll be playing in the same division, but the way my team's playing at the moment,
I thought you might have got up last season, but it wasn't to be. Wrexham picked you, but you know, you never know. It's a long season.
Well, next time we can chat football. If I start now, this will be a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Okay, Joel, thank you so much for joining me here on Sci-Fi Fans. All the best of luck. Congratulations on your award. I won't say I'm not jealous.
Submit, you get free holidays at Hollywood if you win.
Oh, it's given you've actually inspired me to actually try and, well, I will submit. Whether or not I'm successful is another thing.
No, I mean,
you've inspired me to do that.
I'm abashed. It's, you know, what's to lose? You know, when you start submitting, that's the thing with submitting. Sometimes someone likes a story, sometimes they don't. Even super successful short story writers and writers don't sell everything, you know. I mean, within reason, I'm sure if you're a certain name, you'll get bought, but, you know, I had a great time out there, and it's free, so do it.
It'll get to the stage where I just think, Wayne Blinko again. Oh, just get rid of him.
Well,
All right. Well, thank you, Joel, for coming on. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Oh, thank you
And
so much.
we'll catch up in about 6 months' time after Christmas.
Oh, wonderful. That'd be lovely. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll be interested to see how far you've gone with your journey, and hopefully maybe a first draft. Maybe.
Hopefully, and certainly further than chapter 1.
All right. Thank you so much, Joel.
Yeah. Thanks,
Link
mate.
for Joel will be in the description below, so check him out. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Have a nice afternoon. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Joel. So there you go. After speaking to Joel about his experience with Writers of the Future, it is a competition that I am considering entering myself. So do keep an eye out for updates, because at the moment they are open to submissions, and I've got a story in mind that I'd like to submit to them. As you heard, speaking to Joel, it did take a couple of entries for him before he actually won his category. But that's not going to put me off. That's just encouraging me to do it even more myself. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. If you want to come on the channel and discuss with me your self-publishing journey or your books, then do get in touch at wayneblanco.com. Email me at info@wayneblanco.com as well. I look forward to reading your comments and hearing what you have to say. And just get in touch. Tell me how you're doing with your self-publishing journey as well. Look forward to reading those comments and you being in touch, and we can have dialogue, which is great. So keep up the good work, and I'll be back very soon with another video. Thank you for watching.